I'm Audrey White. I'm a member of Riverside constituency Labour Party. I joined with, like many of us did, with when Jeremy Corbyn became the leader of the party and changed the whole politics in this country. So and what happened very quickly afterwards was that we could see that there was a growing resentment against the whole shift in the politics and the political viewpoint against austerity, and the sort of the members of the Labour Party that existed at the time. They obviously resented very much the shift in politics and couldn't see how necessary it was just to fight austerity and to fight the rush to war that had been the mainstay of the Labour Party up until that time. And I'd been a founding member of the Stop the War movement, with working with Tony Benn, George Galloway, Lindsay German, John Rees, and all of those people in the movement, including Jeremy Corbyn to a lesser extent, but I've marched with him at the front with carrying the Stop the War banner, and I was on the national committee. So, my politics were different, and a lot of our politics were different from those that were already, in the Labour Party at that time. And I would not have wanted to have been a member of the party before Jeremy Corbyn. So we were really disappointed that they couldn't just address the arguments, and because of their failure to address the arguments and discuss the political changes that were desperately needed, it resulted in well, how can I explain it? Being targeted in different ways from anonymous people, anonymously authored documents, and so on. And it culminated in attacks this time last year in the Jewish Chronicle, where 4 articles were written about me. And those articles, they were ludicrous actually, but they were also designed to discredit me. But not just discredit me, to discredit Riverside constituency, and to infer that, well, not to infer, they stated as a fact, that our MP had been bullied and constantly interrupted by rowdy members of the constituency. And that wasn't true. So I really had to, because it was used then, of course, to discredit, to try to discredit, and it did, Jeremy Corbyn himself. And it wasn't true. We were very respectful of our MP, but we really did have different views, political views from her. We were opposed to her politics, even on local issues like not supporting the women's hospital. We had differences. So, but we actually drew back, actually, from even confronting Louise Ellman because of the atmosphere that had been created, So we found it very hard to even challenge her politically, and we didn't challenge her in any other way. But we were targeted. We were made into to be people who were aggressive and disrespectful and all the rest, and it actually really wasn't true. And of course, these articles were trying to say that there was a hint really that we were against Louise Ellman because of her religion, and that isn't true at all. There was no basis to even make an accusation as wild as that. So I fought it very hard. It took me 9 months. I first took up a case with the Independent Press Standards, not having an awful lot of confidence in it, to be honest with you. I really didn't, because it's not a very powerful body, but it's and it's financed by these big newspapers that are obviously owned by millionaires, if not billionaires. So I really didn't have, but I did fight very, very, very hard. And I really did. It was hard work and very stressful. And the result was that ipso, it forced the Jewish Chronicle to print the longest adjudication any newspaper has ever had to publish, because of the amount of lies. And I was absolutely delighted that they found in my favour, and delighted that they were so scathing of the Jewish Chronicle, but also they were scathing of their conduct during the investigation, that they wouldn't answer questions, and even when they had concrete evidence that what they'd said was a lie, they still didn't offer or amend or do a correction in their newspaper on any of them. And there were so many the things that were that were wrong. So, you know, she was not bullied. Louise Ellman was not bullied as they claimed. Now, what that means is that why did, you know, or the question you have to ask is, why did they have to lie? If Louise Ellman was being bullied to the degree that she was bullied out of the party, which they were her words, why did the Jewish Chronicle have to lie? I mean, that's the big gaping question, isn't it, surely? And I would like Keir Starmer, I would like the Labour Party echelon, you know, higher echelons of the Labour Party to ask that question and be critical of the narrative that's dominated the question of, you know, the differences between our MPs in constituencies like mine. It wasn't to do with religion, and I'll say consistently, and I've got evidence now that it wasn't to do with religion. It was to do with political differences, and the Jewish Chronicle decided that I would be an easy target. I'm an old woman, I don't hold a position, I'm just a pensioner in Liverpool, and we'll get this one. And they thought they'd discredit me, and I'd join the realms of these people who have been told they're anti-Semitic. And I'm sorry, I wasn't going to have it, and I didn't have it. And then after that, I took them to court, because you know, all they had to do was print the adjudication. And I'm not being funny, that was no penalty whatsoever, was it? Absolutely no penalty. They should have been fined, they should have been made to apologise, they should have been exposed in every newspaper and on the television, they should have been on Newsnight, it should have been on the politics show. And you know what? Not even the local Liverpool Echo did a piece on it. Not one of them. And the only people I could rely on, was social media. The Canary press gang, who were very helpful to me when I was fighting my legal case, and Electronic Intifada, Asa Winstanley, and I'm sure there's others I can't remember, but they were absolutely excellent. They did really good reports on it, and only for that nobody would know. I did get 20 seconds on Granada, BBC Granada reports. That's only because I knew one of the reporters from my Stop the War years, and he'd always been very fair, and he knew I was straight, and I really had to force him, push him and his producer to do something on it, and that's the only thing that was ever published on television. 20 seconds. So yeah, it was really worth fighting for, though, and I think it was a great victory for other people to know that, well, hang on, it is worth having a fighting back against these people, because when you fight back, you get a chance to win, and it's great when you win, because you vindicated, and you also vindicate. I vindicated my constituency, and I vindicated the views of us on the left, who, you know, we're not anti-Semites. We are fighting for a fairer world. We're fighting against austerity, and now we're living under the results of, you know, these attacks. Now that we've got Boris Johnson in power instead of Jeremy Corbyn, who would have had a different priority altogether. So it's a criminal act that this newspaper did, as far as I'm concerned, and the people who fed that newspaper, they are responsible in part for us having Boris Johnson manage in the interest of capital rather than the interest of ordinary working people. Well, yes, I got all my costs. I got an apology, and which again wasn't reported, but the Jewish Chronicle had to do it, and Twitter and social media, Facebook and so on, took over and got it out there to some degree. But yes, I won damages, and with I don't want to say what the damages are, but they were substantial, and I'm giving every penny of that back to the movement. And I'm going to, not probably shout about it, but obviously let people know that it came from. If I give £1,000, for instance, to the food bank recently for the fans, the sports, the fans, the Liverpool and Everton football clubs, fans against for food banks, and I give them £1,000, and I know each time I'm going to be saying this is compliments of the victory, the vindication of Riverside constituency in me against the Jewish Chronicle, because I want to make that political point every time I spend that money, because I never did it for any money. I did it to expose the lies, and I think it'll help get the message out there that the money's being used for the movement. It's, for people in the movement. I've given money to different causes that I think will be politically, we'll get political mileage out of, in terms of using the money in a good way to fight back. People like Lee Harpin, who was the journalist, and I want to also, I would really like to expose the people who fed that journalist these lies, because I do have evidence of who fed the lies, and one of them is a woman called Michelle Langham. I've got screenshots of her actually tweeting directly to Lee Harpin lies against me. So, could I have a court case against her? Probably could. Well, definitely could. But the point is, can you be bothered? Little no-mark who is feeding people like Lee Harpin. I mean, these people should be exposed. And I intend to expose them within the movement, because they should be isolated. They've been played a dirty role in discrediting our party. And there are others. I mean, there was the ex-Lord Mayor is quoted in the Jewish Chronicle, Malcolm Kennedy. He's actually quoted in the Jewish Chronicle. He's a councillor still, and he is reported by the Jewish Chronicle as saying that it was like a Soviet show. The meeting was like a Soviet show trial. Well, that's been discredited, as far as I'm concerned, by the IPSO, the Independent Press Standard, saying, we've heard a recording of the meeting, and Louise Ellman wasn't interrupted. Louise Ellman spoke in a normal voice. Nobody spoke over her. You could, and let's face it, you cannot ever describe that as a Soviet show trial. Outrageous to have said so, and only discrediting fellow members. So I think these people need to be exposed for the things they're saying, and make sure that if people are going to speak to the press, that they are honest in their dealings and don't deal with people like Lee Harpin. I mean, I don't know whether you know it, but Lee Harpin, you know, was arrested with regard to the phone hacking scandal. He actually sat in the dock. So, you know, not what I would say, not a pleasant man. And why would you fabricate things and then let, you know, put this in, and also, by the way, information, you know, confidential information into the hands of people like Lee Harpin to be twisted and turned and used against the party, because that's the way I see it. It was the party that came under attack. Yes, we were suspended for a while. I think it was getting on for 18 months. And I just think that whole period was really to make us ineffectual, to, you know, to the start of the very, very beginning of trying to make, you know, Riverside, it's going to lack any credibility because these people are misbehaving and so on. And we were, you know, it's all done by an innuendo and smoke and mirrors. So Riverside was couldn't meet for a long time. But we did all the campaigns. So, you know, in that sense, it didn't stop us from supporting people on the picket line for being against the cuts to the fire service, which were being introduced by the Labour Council. You know, so it didn't stop us from building these campaigns and defending the women's hospital, supporting ISS workers who were fighting for sick pay in the hospitals. You know, all the things that we as a CLP should have been doing as individuals. Well, the left were anyway. The left were out there, the real left, and we were out there campaigning. So although we couldn't function with resolutions and delegates and so on, we did work very hard at doing the best we could.
Yesterday we heard...
You know, we talk about reports, and this is an 860 pages, I understand, 860 pages. I think, you know, we should have some transparency. Let's see the report. I want to see that report. The number of complaints I've made, and very legitimate complaints, but I must have looked like a crank over the years because I kept chasing and chasing and chasing them because they were never addressed. So, and there's people all around the country. Don't you remember Ian McNicol? He suspended 125,000 people who weren't allowed to vote. I mean, that's wholesale witch hunt, isn't it, against new members? You know, it wasn't a rule that's been used before. So, yeah, it's gone on, and it's only gone on since we've had Jeremy Corbyn as the leader of the party. So we know what the political leaning of these or lack of investigations. I think if you were a person on the left who complained against somebody, probably most likely on the right, you know, you were ignored and so on. But to do that, you know, you'd have to have staff that you could rely on, and I have no faith in the machinery, those who control the machinery. And I don't mean Jenny Formby here. I mean, you know, a lot of the regional officials and so on. From my own experiences and others around me, absolutely awful. So I don't know how we can expect them to do the right thing. I think people should be reinstated, because this report does expose. There's been real failings in the compliance department. It's obvious from anyone who's ever had anything to do with the compliance department. We should be implementing the Chakrabarty report in full, and it should be on the lines of natural justice. And a lot of these cases should be reviewed, absolutely should be reviewed, but under those terms, not under the terms that exist now, and with people who really are independent and in the open. Who said what against you? where did this information come from? Who said that? Why are we answering things we don't even know who the people are who our accusers are? Quite often, we don't have any fairness, and I think it should all be reviewed after we've introduced absolutely in full the Chakrabarti report, and the Chakrabarti report, and everything is actually open and transparent, that you know what people, like in a court of law, for God's sake. It's just absolutely ridiculous that the Labour Party is a law unto itself. Well, actually, no, I don't have an awful lot of faith in him at all. I just think, you're talking to Liverpool here. We had the Hillsborough, and, I think you'll find that Keir Starmer's doesn't come out well. Keir Starmer doesn't come out well on the Hillsborough situation. I think that alone makes us go, no, I'm sorry, I don't have a lot of faith in him doing that. But also, I think he's giving us no assurances that that he is going to do the right thing. I mean, I have contacted him over the IPSO. I don't know how many people have sent him the IPSO report, the Jewish Chronicle apology, the result of the libel case, and you'd think it never happened. You'd think there wasn't one person in the country that didn't have evidence, and there is at least me, and probably and a few others. But and that's very, very difficult thing to do, and to ignore what's gone on already. It wouldn't fill you with any confidence that he's going to do the right thing. I've not heard him say anything about the Chakrabarti report. He should be right behind it, shouldn't he? I mean, his role, his legal prowess, you would think it would be the first thing he would want to do, and to assure members that the compliance unit, the investigation compliance unit, was fit for purpose. So I've got my fingers crossed, but I haven't got any high hopes. I mean, I've been on Red Watch and things like that, and threatened with my life over the years. So I know how innocuous it is and how dangerous it is. And I really, the only thing I'd have to say on it is that, when people are accused of anti-Semitism, and it's, they're completely innocent. I mean, all that does is, and I've said this about the Jewish Chronicle, it's not just discrediting that person, what it's doing is it's lying to the Jewish community, isn't it? So, you're making them feel fearful, and that's such a disgusting thing to, under the guise of defending them, that you're making them feel fearful, or that people are resenting them when there is no resentment there. I mean, I think that's an awful crime. And I feel very sorry for the Jewish community who do feel like that. And then, of course, there's other members of the Jewish community who've also been victimised and had the same things said against them. And I've got friends who that's happened to, and it's just, it's appalling. So I think, the divisiveness and the divisions that this creates within communities is disgraceful. But also the personal fear that you have when you're targeted like that, because people do get attacked. I've had people say to me, Audrey, you're a Jew hater, you're white, you're a Jew hater, and you lie. And that's directly from these reports in the Jewish Chronicle. So to have have yourself in your address put on a map somewhere is, it's very poisonous, and I don't know how you fight it unless you can fight it legally against it. Quite often these things are hard to fight because they're done anonymously. So I don't know whether there's a legal way. I mean, you'd have to have a lawyer to have a look at that, but I would try and fight that legally, or involve the police, because if you're being accused of a crime, which is it is, it's a criminal thing to be, to discriminate against people on the basis of their religion, whatever that religion is. It's just terrible if people are promoting a map like that, and I think people should maybe get together and fight it. Everyone on that map should try and get together and fight it, join together. It's only really, by being unified. Trying to battle things on your own, it is hard. I've done it quite a few times in my life, but it's very hard, and you need solidarity. And if you've got people who are being under attack in the same way, they should all get together and have then you can generally afford legal advice, or you can go en masse to the police, or make the same complaint or whatever, and try and build yourself into a force. Well, do you know what? I actually have been credited with that by a lot of people. And the first thing I did say, to be honest with you, was that I don't celebrate any workers losing their jobs. And I'm sure there's people who make the tea and clean the floor and whatever. There are, just ordinary people who haven't got dirty hands. And, I would feel sorry for them. But I think they'll be better off working with a more principled employer. And I'd like to think I played a small role in it, because I must admit they were humiliated by their defeat. By that expose, if you like, of how many lies they really did have to print to try and support their own narrative that Louise Ellman was bullied out the Labour Party. And I think without a doubt it was exposed. Absolutely nailed these lies, the independent press standards, and they were humiliated. And I think they were discredited roundly. And the fact that the independent press standard is also making a complaint against their behaviour within the independent press standards, I think that really did help to nail it. But I think also they're discredited by many other findings against them, but none quite as big as that one, I don't think. I think that was quite a victory that I actually must say I'm very proud of.
Well, it's nice.
What we can do next is make sure that we fight for the ideas, for socialist ideas within the Labour Party. And I think it's important that we keep doing that, but not like some of the soft left, who say that's all we should concentrate on. We should also make sure that we fight every attack. I mean, I'm not one of these that says, oh, we've got to choose our battles. Sometimes you just have to fight back, because it's so unjust. You don't wait for a Labour government. You don't wait, you don't wait till the law's changed. You have to use whatever means. When you see injustice, you fight it. And if you don't fight it, you'll never beat it. And I think if you can expose it, or you even feel proud of yourself for having had to fight back. So fight for socialism within the Labour Party, or whatever community group you feel concerned about, and that where you can spread the ideas of socialism. So whatever community group, whatever political organisation, you fight for radical change, because what we're living under now, this coronavirus, has absolutely ripped up the whole idea that capitalism, has any value today. It is absolutely ineffectual in fighting the virus. Capital is being put ahead of the lives of working class people, and that's got to be the mainstay of our fight now. Can you imagine years from now, oh, what were you doing during the coronavirus? Well, I know what I'm doing. I'm fighting for socialism. I'm fighting for the political ideas. I want to make sure that when this is over, that Boris Johnson, the Tory government and the establishment in this country is absolutely finished, and then we get a real socialist party, and we've got to push these soft left leaders who are really will be teetering, you know. We won't know which way they'll be going, but I hope that they listen what's going on below, because the working class people are sick of this situation and seeing people dying in their thousands around them, and we've got to make sure that we're a part of that battle on behalf of the working class.